sense myself up. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're doing one of our kind of podcast style ones that we've really not done in a very long time.
I know. The last time we did one was January, which was quite a while ago. It's brightening up outside. Yippee! And it's like we need to sort of do them because they're quite fun, but also just so that you guys have something to listen to rather than watch. So it's just going to be us talking. Really, there's not going to be any photos or anything. But we're going to talk about our motoring sort of pet peeves or things we don't like in the sort of motoring industry. Because there are some things that do drive people around the bend, specifically me. But we'll start to drive you around the bend when you actually start driving properly. So, yeah, there's quite a few.
100%. Yeah. If you got one that...
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I can try. I think it's not really a massive one. Just for me, though, it's indicating coming off a roundabout. It winds me up. If you're either in a car in the same junction they're going to come off, I'm like, well, I could have gone if I knew you were coming off. Yeah. And then, or similarly, if you're trying to cross a road and they're not indicating coming off, I'm like, I could have got, or you try and go, and then all of a sudden you realise you can get flattened. You're like, well, hell.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a stick for
that. No, that is one. It's definitely one.
BMW's outfitted with them. Well, that's what I think to believe. Anyway,
there's an option extra for blinker fluid reservoir. And then I think it's about 15 quid a bottle for blinker fluid in Halfords for BMWs. Yeah, no, and they can't afford it because they've spent 10 grand on optional leather heated seats. So,
well, it must be that because they're not used otherwise.
No, they're not. Well, I saw one Civic was using it the other day, so they definitely spec the optional blinker fluid. But yeah, that's the big one: is people not indicating correctly. Yes. Or just being stupid. And the funniest is bad lane discipline on a roundabout. Yeah. That annoys me. People who can't use a roundabout properly. It's a circle. It's not particularly complicated. And I was following a woman in a Ford Focus. Not saying there's anything wrong with women drivers, but statistically, you are worse. But she was in a Focus and she was in the right-hand lane, which means you're only going right because it's a left only and a right only because it's got two exits. And she was in the right, and then she went towards the left-hand exit, and then decided, no, I'm not going that way. So then she went round all the way around on the left-hand lane of the roundabout, all the way around the roundabout, cut right in front of me, nearly took my front bumper off in the Mazda, and then all the way back around the roundabout. She got blasted by an Audi. She then cut in front of, because he was going from this side and then going round and then exiting this way. So she went all the way around like that. She went in a full circle, cut in front of this Audi like that because she was in the wrong lane, and then went all the way back around and went to the exit that she should have gone off in the first place. At about 15 miles an hour around the roundabout, so she was going incredibly slow. And she wasn't even an old woman, it was like a middle-aged woman in a Ford Focus who clearly had a serial packet licence and had no idea what she was doing. I was like, what's he doing? The other one is people who stop at roundabouts when there's no or junctions when there's no traffic. Oh, there's no cars for 4 miles around. It's perfectly quiet. You could hear a pin drop, but they still stop just in case for some reason there's a Bugatti doing 250 miles an hour that does 6 football pitches a second and is just going to come and T-bone her. That's not going to happen. Move. You are in the way. Why do you stop? Stop stopping.
Just roll onto the roundabout.
Exactly. There's nothing there.
There's no one on the roundabout. There's no one on the junction coming onto the roundabout. There's no one to your right. There's no one. Roll onto the roundabout. Just keep on going.
And they still stop, even if there's no traffic behind them or anything, they'll still stop. They do my head in.
There's the first rule of a roundabout. It's not to your right.
Go.
You get on
with it. Just go. Just speed and power. Because otherwise you're going to cause carnage, basically. I don't know why they do it. It's just, yeah. Can you think of any more?
I'm trying to think now.
There is a lot when you sort of think about them. There's quite a lot.
No, definitely. I want to try and say one from maybe inside the car, and it's usually people when you sometimes, like, obviously you're in someone else's car. It's gears that kind of annoy me, and they just don't have the car is screaming at them, either they're too high or too low, and the car is screaming at them, and they're just oblivious, and I'm like,
You're in the wrong gear.
how can you not? You can hear the car. The car doesn't like you.
You know when you're in the wrong gear, because it doesn't matter if you're in the like a low gear, because if you're revving the nuts off it, it's fun. But if you're in too high of a gear, you know, because the car starts to vibrate,
Yeah.
and it's like shaking, and it's like you are in the wrong gear, and they're just completely oblivious to it. Because my dad does it all the time, does my head in, drives me to the edge of reasoning, and I'm like, please change down, because I'm going deaf, because the car is detonating itself to pieces because you're in the wrong gear.
So either then you either have people blame the car, or I've seen people literally just shift through the entire gearbox until it starts working. What a shit there is! Bang off! I go, what? Oh wait, no, up, down, left. Oh no, original one. Oh shit, first. Oh bloody hell! Oh, and I'm back into the same gear I was in.
Doesn't matter.
What? Where do you get with that?
I know.
Just yeah.
The other one is when people turn the music down because they think it makes them see better when they're trying to go to a junction. So
Yeah. Oh, roundabout's coming up.
turn the music down.
What's that?
Because as we all know, when you turn the music down in your car, you can see better. No, you can't. I have the music blasting. Absolutely, deafeningly loud. I had Reach on 18. No, S Club 7. On 18, I was deaf when I got out of the car, but I still had it on dead loud because it was fun. Because why not? So it was like, but people do turn the music down. No, I'll tell you which one my biggest is. Apart from traffic lights, which we'll come on to later. Do you know when you fill your car up and you pull in behind somebody and you're waiting and they fill the car up as normal? There's two ways they can do it. They can either pay at the pump and then drive off, which is the quick way, or they can go in and pay. And the people who go in and pay traditionally are quite quick, but there is the old people who go in, say it's like a Tesco one, they go into that little shop and do their entire weekly supermarket shop in the petrol station shop. So you sat there for 25 minutes with your car on tick over, wasting petrol because you're waiting for them to do the shop while they're filling the car up.
Yeah.
Why can't you just get in your car, drive off, and go to Tesco? Because this is a Tesco petrol station. Tesco's there. Just drive there, go in, do your shop, and come out. Why do you have to do it there when everybody's queuing for miles to fill the car up and you're just wasting your time spending 25 minutes strolling along? The other one is when people get in and then think it's the right idea to fiddle around in the handbag and get the phone out and start posting on Facebook and TikTok and doing stuff like that. I'm like, can you get off your phone? Can you go put your phone away and drive off? And if you want to do that, park in a car park and do it.
And that's definitely one thing. Yeah, getting back into your car and not moving. It's like,
people do it.
why
all
are you
the
still
time.
here?
I'm like, go.
It's a petrol
go.
station. I'm filling up your petrol. You've done that. Why are you still here?
Exactly. It just made in.
I think another one might be as well, like petrol station related. It's got 2 pumps. It's free. And you park at the first one.
Exactly. Yeah, people do that. They park at the first one. Why can't you move to the one in front so I can get behind you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
There's no point. You've got 2. Just drive through to the second one. Use that one. And then someone can get in behind you instead of having to play.
The only time that's okay is if the car that you park behind goes before you. While you're filling your car.
Well, yes. Yeah. Like, yeah.
That's fine. But if you just turn up and there's nobody on the forecourt and you just park in the one behind, it's very difficult for the car to get through the gap between the 2 cars because it's not very big. So if you've got
Trying to
any form of
slow
car
yourself
nowadays, because a Ford Focus is bigger than a Ford Granada from the 80s, and they were massive back then. Now, so any car now is massive, and you can't fit them within that pubes width of a gap. So move forward and let the people in the massive cars, which is everybody, go through, because like otherwise they won't fit.
Yeah.
That is annoying.
Yeah, it's.
The other one is at petrol stations, people who put stupid numbers of pounds of petrol in their in their tank. It is annoying. You should be aiming for exactly a figure. The only time it's allowed is if you round it to the nearest litre.
Yeah.
So the nearest litre or the nearest pound. If you just go and put £35.46 in because you don't give a toss, that is just downright wrong. It is annoying. Fill your car up. You're only allowed 99s, exactly on the dot, or a couple of p over.
Yeah, that's it. I think the only excuse for that, is when people try and absolutely brim the fuel tank. You know what I mean? Just like top it right up.
No, if it goes to the top and it cuts off on a funny figure, that's fine because your tank's full. It's a full tank.
Like,
and you'll know that because it'll say £76.81 or something stupid.
And I don't know how many people have aimed to do that though.
What, fill the tank full?
How many people go, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to fill my entire car. Then you're going, I've got to spare 60 quid here. I'll see how much I can get out of it.
Yeah. You put, like when I go, I put 20 quid in. Well, I normally put 19.99 in actually. Because...
You'll have a pence change.
No, because if it goes over, then I don't have any spare change. It's just easier. But I've aimed for the exact figure, and a lot of the time I get it on exactly 20. But I have been like a couple of p over every now and again, because it's quite difficult actually. It's quite skillful. But the thing is, you actually enjoy filling your car up when you're trying to get on the dot. Yeah. People just stand there and just like,
oh shit, I've got fuel on my hand. It's like.
Oh, £33.26 I'll do. And then just put the tank, put it back. You've got an odd... You don't know how much fuel you... At least if you put 20 quid in it, and you use that 20 quid because you know how much you can get out of it, you know that then you put another 20 quid in, you know how much fuel you've got. If you just put £33.28 in it, how do you know how much fuel you've got left? Yeah, because you don't measure your mileage on that such an odd figure. Yeah. Oh, it does my head in. Because you pull up and somebody's like got a stupid amount in, unless it's 70 odd quid, in which it's obviously going to be a full tank, and you're like, oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, it does happen.
It does happen all the time. My dad does it. He doesn't see the appeal of putting an exact figure in it, but there's a button that you can click and you can put 1010, and it cuts off at Tesco. I don't click it because I like to try and aim for the exact 20, but you can click it and it just fills his card up with a random number. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, I do that just like randomly blind. Just there you go. I don't know how much fuel I'm putting in it now. Let the games just shut your eyes, hit the buttons. There's a game now. How much money are you gonna spend? What's that? Put it through.
Yeah, there is a lot. The only people who don't drive at the speed limit.
Yeah, 100%.
People who drive so slowly.
25 and a 40, and they'll go, well, what?
No, but I was following a Ford Puma the other day. I was coming home from work. I was only going 400 yards up the road, down the road, because Domino's isn't far. I was driving back, and it's a 30, and it was bone dry. It was dark, but it was bone dry, and there was no traffic. And it was 17 miles an hour in a 30, if that. Mm-hmm. And there was a queue of traffic nearly a mile long behind them. I had to, sort of G them up. I had to get so close that if they slammed on and go into the back of the car, just in order to get them going quicker. It was only when they were going down Mill Lane, which is a hill, that they were doing anywhere near 30. They're probably doing about 22. Because they started rolling down the hill a bit faster.
Because momentum, because gravity.
I'm like... But then they're the sort of people who would do 15 and a 30, but then do 60 past a school. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, it always is, yeah. I think they must have gammy ankles. I'll be honest with you. I think it's gammy right ankles. Because it'll just be like...
there's no consistency.
Oh, there's a 30 sign there. Oh shit, I'm going 50. Wait, what?
It's just ridiculous. Oh, it did my...
So fast you've gone in your life?
I was on... Before I actually was able to drive, I was doing a lesson with past mate. And I kid you not, there was somebody doing... You know where Burton Brewery is?
Yep.
They were doing 20 down there.
It's
completely straight,
Yeah.
50, right? Nobody does 50 down there if you're in an half decent car. You're doing nearly 70 because it's perfectly safe to do it because it's dead long and straight. And they were doing 20. I was like, could you please go faster? Because you're doing my head in.
yeah, it's one of them. Like, come on, what? It's you'd fail your test for it if you had to reset it. So, God knows.
Well, the sort of people
how you've got it.
who do 12 on a normal road, but then when they're going down Marshall's Cross, they do 40 and flash you to move out the way, even though it's a 30.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I've just been stuck behind you doing 12. You're not. I am not moving out of your way.
Yeah.
Because that's the bus lane and it's illegal before 7 o'clock at night. So pig off.
Yeah, it is hypocritical. I believe it is. Just not really know what you're doing. Then go, no, well, I'm gonna. No, you're not. Stop. Just,
Yeah.
Oh my
Pig
God.
off and learn how to drive. But it's always the same people. It's always people either in really terrible SUV things like Mockers and Dukes, or people in like Honda Jazzes and stuff in like grandmas.
Yeah.
It's always old people or soccer moms, as they're known as in America, in crossovers rushing to get the kids to school or football practice. I'm like, pig off. Then schools are also a nightmare. School pickup, pet peeve of mine. Can't stand it. Why do the parents have to park in the middle of the road and then drive
We'll be out soon.
400 yards down the road because they have to pick their fat, lazy kids up from school who can't walk 200 yards down the road to their house? And they have to pick them up in these big, massive cars because the kids are so big nowadays because they eat burgers and sit on TikTok all night that they don't do any exercise. And because they don't do any exercise, they have to have a diesel SUV with enough torque to lug their 40-stone bodies around. That's modern society in Britain now. Fat, lazy kids who are too lazy to walk home and are too fat to go in a small car. So everybody has to drive massive cars around and pick kids up from school in huge cars and then cause nightmare on the car park because there's no car parking spaces and there's people just wandering around in the middle of the road. Like, if you then bonnet that child, it'll write your car off. And they'll just bounce off like a rugby ball. So, does my head in. Because people need to either walk, or if it's raining, get an umbrella. Because they live across the road, you can see their house, and they're driving that distance. That's why global warming's so bad. Because they're starting their engines just for that distance. Like, what the hell?
You're wasting your fuel.
Exactly, they were just wasting petrol.
And then would probably similarly moan that they've got no petrol.
Yeah, they would then moan, because all British people do is moan.
Yes, that is true. That is
Just whinge.
top level of it.
Yeah. So they're annoying. And then they're also the people that when you park your car on a car park, where you're at the very back end where there's no cars, they will somehow manage to squeeze their Duke next to you.
Oh yeah,
and put their car that far from your door.
Yeah. That yeah. I
And
think
do it on purpose.
That's definitely another thing. It's like, yeah, when there's quite a few car parking spaces next to us. Why right next to us?
Well,
Surely
the
that's
good thing is, nobody parks near my car because they know that if they ding it, I will take their head off.
Yeah.
It's raining again.
It's raining again. Welcome to Britain.
Yeah. Because they know I'll take their head off. But if you're in just a normal car that they don't think that the owner will care about, they'll just park next to you and open the door, bang, and hit it straight away and just walk up. Like, nothing ever happened. Like, yeah, you've hit the door. And you've now put a big dent in the door. You put a dent in my door, you'll have a dent in your head. so big that you won't be able to. You'll be in an induced coma for 6 months. So that's why they don't park near me.
Yeah.
Mainly because they know I'll care about the car, because it's that type of car. So it stops idiots parking near you. But my mum's gone out. She's parked. There's no cars on the car park. She's gone out and had a minibus parked next to her. Why? Why can't you park over there and walk? Like, these are the fat lazy parents who pick their fat lazy kids up from school, right? So they can't walk the distance from the school to the house, and the house is across the road, right? But they can walk from the back end of the car park to the shop because they park purposely next to somebody in a smaller car for no apparent reason, bash the door, and they can somehow walk that distance, which is the same distance from their house to the school. Why have you done that? Total hypocrisy.
At least he can sit in the trolley.
They probably have to get a taxi from their car. Probably order an Uber from the taxi to from the car to the shop. They could have just parked outside the shop.
Could imagine him sat in the trolley.
Yeah. So they're annoying. Mainly the school run pick up people. Traditionally women, because men hardly ever pick kids up from school. We just see it. Like they never do. They rarely do. So, and they can't drive for toffee, and they can't stay over the steering wheel. I came into our street yesterday. There was a car coming down the street, and I couldn't see it, and there was nobody driving it.
Yeah, that's another thing. You can jack your seat up. There's a function to do that. Or
Nobody
move it
driving it.
forward.
Well, actually, there was, but
there's-
there was an old woman, and she was looking through the bit of the steering wheel, and her hands were higher than her eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, do you have eyes in your hands? Are they what's making you see?
Yeah.
So I just like steered well clear because I thought she's gonna crash into me. Just there, dogging like that. You know when they have the neck up like that. I'm like, what are you doing? So you shouldn't be on the road because you're about 97, right? And you can't see where you're going.
Yeah, it's definitely something. Like would. To be fair, you either that's on both ends of the spectrum, because you've got the old people who just don't raise the seats or anything like that. Yeah, they do literally look through the semicircle at the top of the wheel, and then you've also got your teenagers who you can just about see the hairline over the window.
The perm.
Yeah. You can just about see the hairline over the window. The only reason you know there's anyone in there because the door's going to fall off with the amount of vibration and bass that's coming out.
Yeah, because they've got big subwoofers in boots and a massive exhaust pipe on like a terrible car.
Yeah.
Like a Fiesta or something. Not terrible cars in that they're crap, it's just a terrible car to have a massive exhaust on. And it's always an EcoBoost ST line, a red one with black wheels. Because they are the chavviest cars in the world.
Yeah.
Or one of the old Corsas because they're just supremely chavvy. The 3-door ones, the 5-door ones are not driven by yobbos. It's weird. Why are the 4-door ones driven by normal, respectable members of society? But then the 2-door ones are the ones that are driven by yobbos and somehow end up upside down in a ditch.
Because the 3 back seats are replaced with a massive
So
festival
they only
lamp.
need 2 doors,
Yeah,
So all they do is to stick Glastonbury in boot, and then they put a massive exhaust on it, slam it, then crash it. That's all they do.
Pretty much.
And then whinge when the insurance premium goes up the next year.
Don't really know what you expected though, can't I?
Exactly.
I mean, you binge your car into a lamppost.
Or mainly a tree.
Or a tree.
Because I don't know why, but teenagers somehow think that it's fun to aim for trees.
Trees
when you're on a back road.
Bend?
Lampposts do bend.
Yeah.
If you hit them fast enough.
Yeah, no,
so you can have lamppost nil, car nil, or lamppost 1, car 1, actually, and they'll suffer pretty much the same damage because the lamppost will snap in half and then your car will snap in half. The trees have never lost.
No, trees don't lose. Trees lose a bit of skin. It's like you falling over.
You graze your ankle.
Graze your ankle. That's what happens to the tree.
That's the tree. So it loses a bit of bark.
Yeah.
But that bark comes back.
Your car looks like it's come fresh out the skip, or when you try to when you send the car to tip, and it's you've turned the car into the cube for them.
Yes.
It's not.
Exactly.
It's not gonna last.
But yeah, what they do is they think it's cool to drive like that. But the problem is, the steering, your arm isn't as long as your leg.
Yeah.
So when they jack the seat back,
Oh right, yeah.
the legs will only just touch the pedals.
Yeah.
But traditionally the pedals are quite far back.
Yeah.
But in like a Fiesta, they're pretty much the driving position is like that. It's absolutely awful, and it's the same in a Corsa. It's the same because the pedals are pretty much where the steering wheel is. It's like an old Lancia, right? And they're actually offset as well. My dad's kind of like that. Drive like that, it's weird. It's very annoying. But your arm's not that long, so when you're driving one-handed, because they think they're cool, which they're not. I drive like that because it's cool because I have a cool car, but they don't. So they drive like that, don't they? And they think they're cool and they're like, yeah, swagger like that with the music blasting, with the perm flopping up and down with the air conditioning, right? And they can hardly touch the steering wheel with it. They've only got the fingertips on it because the seat's so far back that they can hardly touch the steering wheel.
It's low and back. It's like you can.
Yeah.
So it's just so.
They could go sleep in it.
Yeah. Wind the seat back a bit. Just well.
It's almost one of my other pet peeves, which hasn't got anything to do with cars. People who recline their seats on aeroplanes. Oh, it does my head in. Oh my god, you deserve hell. You deserve death. Why did they recline the seats in a car? There's no point. It's the same on an aeroplane. You're not going to sleep anyway when you're driving a car, so why recline your seat? You're supposed to sit bolt upright. Sometimes you recline a little bit to get your position comfy. Like in my car, they are reclined slightly.
I've been in bolt upright, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
My
You
body doesn't
move it back
function at
because you've got room.
such
But on a plane, you bolt upright, and you're not going to be going to bed anytime soon because it's loud and it's not the place you go to bed on a plane. In case of turbulence. And then the air hostesses come around when you've got your blanket on and wake you up and then make sure you got your seatbelt on, even though you have, and then it's dead awkward. So it doesn't matter. You're not going to be sleeping. So if you can't sleep bolt upright anyway. It's virtually impossible. So I was that much distance, that much of a recline, going to make any form of distance whether you can sleep or not. Keep your seat where it is or I'll kill you. I actually told somebody in my college, that's the sixth form, when we went to New York on the way back, I told them that if they recline the seat, I'd put my fist through the red. But I didn't say it like that. I just said, it's one of my pet hates. Can't stand it, and I will genuinely attack somebody if they do it. So nobody reclined the seats when they were sat in front of me.
Planes don't go that far.
They don't. They go back about that much.
And cars go back a bit. It's just useless.
You can actually recline the seats in a car almost completely flat.
Well,
why?
We getting out of that?
Exactly.
Wait, when I can start to see your head out the back window, that's when I'm getting concerned.
Yeah.
When I said you can see your hairline over the top of the window, if I can start seeing your hairline at the back of the back window, what have you done? And at that point, that's like being in a jet. You're thinking you're driving a jet.
Private jet, yeah.
Yeah. With, like, litter pickers to steer the wheel or something.
Or you use your legs.
Yeah.
But then you can't accelerate, so.
Throw a brick on the accelerator.
Or you've changed it so that you use a PlayStation
that
controller.
Would be a laugh, yeah. I could see people doing that. Yeah.
Teenage geezers doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have no taste in cars as well, which is annoying. To see them at car meets revving their Ford Fiesta EcoBoost. I'm like, yeah, it'll be funny when the head gasket goes bang, because they're notorious for that. At about 100,000 miles, the engine blow up. So my dad's has got about 25,000 miles left before it goes bang, which I'm quite looking forward to. I think it'll be hilarious. And it will get to that because they've had mileage. It does now. That'll be funny. But that's for another day. God, I've got loads. One of my, not pet peeves like for people actually driving, but one of the things I cannot stand, I don't know why, I can't stand it, screwed on number plates. Do me head in. Why screw a number plate onto a car?
It's manufactured, isn't it?
Some cars don't come out of the factory screwed on registration plates. I can't stand it. Any car I own will not have screwed on registration plates on. The Mazda doesn't. It did when I bought it, but I whipped them straight off. It now has number plates that are nice and clean, nothing wrong with them, and are held on with the strongest material I've ever seen in my entire life, which is registration plate tape. Way stronger than screws. People think, well, when it's screwed in, it's permanent. Well, the tape is waterproof and doesn't lose its stickiness, ever. Screws work themselves loose over time. One of my friends was driving his Mark II on the motorway. The screws worked themselves loose, and the number plate and its bracket that it was held onto fell off at 70 miles an hour. And then he didn't have a number plate at all. That's why you don't get screwed on registration plates. Because they're stupid.
Yeah, I get the appeal of like not having to have the screw caps on them.
Because they look stupid. They look horrendous. But also, you're screwing into metal. Luckily, they're only screwed into plastic on my car.
Yeah.
So the holes and
Well,
everything.
they do have mounts behind them. Usually, if they've come off the press with screws, holes, whatever,
but
they do have mounts.
Like, most of the time they're screwed into metal.
Yeah.
That's gonna rust, and then your plate's gonna fall off. Just what the hell? Like, it just looks so much cleaner as well without them.
Yeah, I
can't stand them. I don't know why, I've just started hating them more and more. Because you see cars, and they're nice cars as well, and they're expensive, and you think somebody's gone to the time to drill into your boot lid on your 70 grand car to stick a registration plate on. It's like, the dealer does it. It's not when it comes out of the factory, they don't have plates on. So it's when they go to the dealer, and the dealer then drills in to put a flipping... Like, that's just disgusting. You should have a discount, because you've got less car. They've took the metal away. Yeah, then. No, can't stand them. Do Maiden. All of my cars will not have screwed in registration plates. They're coming off immediately. I'm getting some new ones printed, and they're being stuck on. So, yeah. I think the biggest thing I hate, though, out of everything in the world, and it drives me to the verge of like killing myself every time it happens, is people who don't set off fast enough from a set of traffic lights. Why do you think it is acceptable to set off from 0 to 30 in 19 years when there's a queue of traffic behind you, waiting at the same traffic light that you've been at for 10 minutes? Why? There's no excuse for it.
It is one of them where you go, you're about 5 cars behind, you see, oh, there you go, green. Oh, we're moving.
Right. You are technically supposed to start to move when the light turns to orange.
Well, at least get your bloody handbrake off or whatever you...
I don't even use handbrake. I get the clutch ready, lift the revs up. As soon as it goes to orange, dump the clutch, bang them off. And before it's on green, I'm at the other side of the junction. Because when that light is on orange, all the rest are on red. So you are technically supposed to go. You're supposed to... Orange means you get ready to go.
Yes.
So you start to set off.
That's it.
Right? People, what they do is they sit there, staring at a light like this. Red, amber, green, right. Handbrake, in gear, then set off. Yeah. That should be ready way before, because you know when the lights are going to change, because there's other traffic stops. So you get prepared, which only takes 2 seconds anyway, and then when it starts to go orange, bang your foot on the accelerator and go. Because everybody behind you, if you set the first you set up, the person at the front, the first you set off, the more people you can get through the lights, which means that they don't have to wait. You're not affecting, not only are you affecting your journey by setting off slow, getting to your destination 10 minutes late, you're also getting everybody else's journeys late. They could be late for work. They could be late because if you don't set off first, you could get through the next set of lights.
Yeah.
Instead of getting stuck at them, and everybody else could. So
just read the road. And the cars stop. You put your car in the gear. Whatever you've done. At least when it's whatever. So as soon as it goes green, you're off. You're gone. You're gone.
Just go. There's no reason why.
If you're still stationary, point of green.
And then there's people who are like,
start rolling.
Well, I don't go because what if there's a red light jumper? If there's a red light jumper, let them T-bone you because you're going to get millions you're going to get thousands of quid in compensation.
Well,
so look at this.
It's not going to make a difference.
If
they're going to jump a red light,
they could jump a red light. They could jump
anybody.
It could be anybody, and they could hit anyone. But if I were you, I'd go through the light, and then if they T-bone you, win-win. You're pretty rich, so
Also, you're gonna be able to see him coming.
yeah, and any decent car can stop or accelerate out of the problem.
I think if it's green and someone is belting 60 mile an hour through something else, I go, I hedge me bets here. But when everything's bloody stopped,
yeah,
no one's going to accidentally go, oh shit, I thought red meant go. You've already stopped. Like, why have you started it? You know, no one's going to do that. No one. So just
me heading.
no
people just
move.
Exactly.
Start going.
They do it all the time. Then you got the people, you know, when you got the lights and you sort of have to go into the middle of the road to sort of then get across. You know, we got a filter light. Right. The people who are there and they're still there when there's no traffic. I'm like, hello, have you suddenly stopped work? Are you now like a telly on standby? What are you doing? It's like, to be fair, I just use my exhaust pipe to G them up because they start going if I start revving at them because they don't want me to attack them with the wash and wax that I've got in the boot of the car. Pour that all in their eyes. Set off from the light faster. Just pour it all in their eyes because it'll sting and it'll be hilarious.
I don't think that would work though.
Why?
Well, you're not going to get through the lights then.
I just grind them.
Yeah, I'll see them.
Yeah.
I mean, raised some very good
there are quite a few others, and another one is when it's raining or when it's just dry. I don't know how you can possibly do this in the dry. It's fair enough in the rain. You somehow end up in a spin, and then you think it's the right idea to counter steer because then you crash. Like, do you know how to drive? I don't know how people crash when it's bone dry on the M6 and there's no traffic.
Yeah, that's never. Yeah,
and it always happens. I'm like, how if you crash? You seriously cannot drive if you crash on a motorway, which is a straight line.
Yeah, it's
in the dry. To be fair, it's very difficult to crash on a motorway in the rain.
It's still a straight line.
Because it's still a straight. All you're doing is driving in a straight line and checking your mirrors and make sure there's no idiot.
Realistically,
if you crash, it's the easiest thing in the world.
It's on you. You've done something.
Unless somebody hits you.
You've
But
done. Well, okay, yeah, that's fair. But usually it's you've not looked at the road. You've looked at the central reservation. Your hands have gone. Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And then you're in it.
Or you've driven.
You've looked at your phone. You've decided to check.
Or you've driven too quickly for the conditions, which is usually what happens in the rain. Your car suddenly starts to spin. If it's front wheel drive, I don't know how that's possible. But if you're in a rear drive car and you spin, you're aquaplane. Or if you're aquaplane actually, because that's fair enough, because it does happen, right? You then spin. Now, what you don't do is go, what am I? I'm not a toaster. No. I'm not a potato waffle. No. I know, I'm a human being. What I'll do is actually control the car. No, you don't. You think you're a toaster, because you are a toaster if you do this. Completely useless at driving, because toasters can't drive. And you counter steer. Which the problem with that is, that then gives the car momentum to flip the other way. That's why that's why they do it in rallying. Because when you come up to a corner, you counter steer the other way, flicks the back end round, and that's how you get around a hairpin in rallying. That's why they do it, because it gives you momentum to spin and control the drift. Now, you're not doing that on a motorway because you're not going around a hairpin bend. So, you give it momentum and the car spins the other way. That's when you crash. And you somersault and then you roll over and then there's a big fireball and it could make a movie out of it and call it Fast and Furious, the old and idiotic. So, that's what happens. And then you bang you have an interview and then you bang on about your family for about 10 minutes because it's a typical Fast and Furious film. So, that's what happens. If you know how to drive, what you'll do is you'll turn the way you're spinning. Because that will stop the momentum from carrying you forward, so then you sort of end up facing the correct way again. I mean, it's scary. You'll probably be shaking and probably crap yourself because it's not nice to go around in a circle on a motorway at 70 miles an hour. But you won't hit the barrier because if you yank it the way you're going, like you're drifting, your car will slide and it'll go back round, and because you've all that energy has stopped you, you've gone round and you wasted it, you'll just stop, and then you can't just be facing the right way. You'll only be crawling because you'll have lost all momentum then. But people, one of my pet hates is people who kind of stay because they think it's the right thing to do and they panic. And you can see them on dash cam in the end, they go this way, then they counter the other way, then they go the other way, and then eventually there's enough momentum to flick the back end around and they spin around and there's a massive 7-car crash because they've hit like 15 cars. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, for God's sake, somebody does not know how to drive. Even the highway code, which is the biggest, it may as well just say bull crap on the front of it because that's all it is, right? Even that says to power out of it.
I was going to say, I know in
And
your
not
theory
counter-sit.
test and whatever now, you are told to steer with the spin.
You're supposed to steer with the spin or power out of it. That's what you do. That's what drift cars do. That's how they hold the power slide. You steer the way you go. You steer as you're spinning, because basically drifting is just going into a spin, but you're controlling it because you're turning the way you're supposed to go, which is hold the back end out, and then powering out of it. And you control it, and then your car flicks back the correct way. If you turn the opposite way while you're drifting, you'll end up in a spin. That's how you donut. Well, that's how you do a donut when you're not supposed to. And then you end up being a donut because you crash your car. So, well done. So, yeah, and people do that a lot, and it's... the other one is people who overtake when it's not safe to. Oh my God, why did they do that? Also, people who don't let you on to a motorway. When
yeah, I'm
you're on the
travelling the
slip
same
road.
speed as you here.
Actually,
That's
that's the worst one. People who drive onto the motorway, onto the slip road, at half the speed limit.
Oh, right.
Why do they come on at 40?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're supposed to match the speed so you can slot into a gap beautifully, right? Not cause anybody to slow down or drop back. And somebody will drop back if you're coming on at the right speed. They'll just slow down 2 miles an hour and just let you in, right? When I enter a motorway, I'm doing nearly 80. Because you're supposed to, because the rest of the traffic is doing 70 odd miles an hour. So you have to go in front of them or behind somebody and get in, right? If you're doing 40, even the lorries are going like that. How are you supposed to slot in when your lorries are doing twice what you're doing, like doing 60 miles an hour nearly? How is that possible? The worst one is when people actually stop on the slip road, because I've seen it happen.
But how are you getting up to 70 there? You're not. You're going to have to wait till the
No, because
motorway
then
to be empty.
all 3 lanes of the motorway then have to stop to let a dodderer in a Citroen onto the motorway. And then it takes them 15 minutes to accelerate because they're in a really slow diesel Citroen. And they can't see because they're looking through the steering wheel as usual. And it's an automatic or CVT. So it doesn't move. So then all the lorries then have to start going again and they take forever because they're big and they're heavy, which isn't fair enough. And then all the other idiots in their cars have to then set off and it takes forever and a day. And it just causes carnage. And then there's a 2-hour tailback because some idiot stops on the slip road. Happens all the time. I've seen it happen. I was actually driving home from a job trial on the motorway and saw a white Citroen C4 stop on the slip road, which nearly made everybody on the slip road behind them slam on because they're now all stopped. So you have it's a chain reaction because they're stopped, so everybody has to stop for them, and the next person is stopped, so they then have to stop. So only people at the top of the slip road who can get enough welly to get off. It's ridiculous. It's horrendous. It's one of the worst things because it causes a lot of accidents as well. Because you're stopping. You're supposed to enter the motorway at the correct speed, 60 at least. Get in, move your lanes when you can, and then just drive in a straight line. It's not difficult. I was coming on, I was doing about 70. And the other day, and this big Audi Q7 thinking his dad thought decided he was going to speed up and not let me in. I just slotted straight in. He's probably that much a gap. I just didn't give him any room. I was like, no, you're not coming. I was like, you don't let me in. I was like, I'm getting in. So I just accelerated to as much as I could and slotted straight in this gap. Well, technically it wasn't big enough because he closed it purposely because he's an oaf. And then he decided what he'd do is because he thought he was hard was go try and overtake me on the rest of the slip road, and then it finished and he swerved straight back in again. I was like, what are you up to? And then I just sped off because I was only doing about 50. I was like, you're only doing 50. It's not going to harm you if somebody slots in front of you, is it? Who's doing more speed than you. I was like, thinking he's hard and his big Audi. Because they do. So it's horrendous. Horrendous piece of driving from them. Just typical Audi. Oh, it's not raining. I hate them days where it's like it's on off like that. Like it either rains or it stays dry. Like I don't mind if you want to rain, lash it down from dawn till dawn. I'm not bothered, right? If you want to stay sunny, stay sunny, right? Or rain during the night when nobody needs to go out. Why does it have to rain and then 10 minutes later, beautiful blue sky? And then start lashing it down again for another 20 minutes. And then be lovely blue sky again. Because it can't make its mind up. So it's global warming, not global drenching. Ridiculous. It's not. We've just got suddenly somehow got a cloud permanently above our street and it just rains. Because it's not raining down the road from here. So. It's typical. Yeah.
No.
Can you not think of any more?
No, I can't. Well, I mean, there's the one of like someone overtaking you 20 mile an hour more than the road entails, and I'm like, would you really need to be?
The one that makes me laugh is when they overtake you and then they get stuck at the same lights as you.
Yeah.
You're not gained any time overtaking me.
I don't know if I've ever had it once. I think I have had it once, where someone flew past us or whatever on the motorway, and then about 5 minutes later, drove past and binned into the central reservation. And we're like, fuck that.
The other one, well, no, it's funny because they overtake you at about 70, and then you end up next to them at the lights. And I've done this before, and thought, right, you overtake me, I'll show you what to do. And built up the revs, dumped the clutch, bang, and absolutely obliterated them off the line. And then they've come up behind, thinking they're hard. And trying to catch up, and they can't keep up because I can go around the roundabout at Michelin at 70. If it's clear, I'll just go straight around at 70 miles an hour because the car can handle it. And then just they have to slam on the brakes, and they're massive Ford Cougar diesels because the car's going to fall over because it's that tall. I'm like, you overtake somebody when you're not supposed to because the speed limit's 40 on that bit where the lights are, and they overtake you at 70, and then they get stuck at the same lights. It's hilarious. Oh my god, it makes me laugh. Love it.
100%.
Then when they try and overtake on a motorway as well, that's fun. And when you drop down a gear and then just put your foot down, and then they end up having to try and keep up, and then when they're trying to overtake you and the same happens and you have a bit of open road and you're at middle lane, you think, right, I can floor it now. Drop it down, the car moves into the outside lane, and then you go, right, let's go, floor it, and then there's a car there and these poor souls trying to keep up with you. Because I've had it with the Tesla, it was hilarious.
It's funny when someone tries to overtake you, but then speed limit changes.
We was in, you know where me and Ellis were coming back from, I can't remember, we were coming back from his, and we were going to a meet, and it was dark, and we were on the motorway. I had a convoy, and he was in the fast lane, and I was in the middle, and there was a lorry on this side. Now, he was doing about 50. Now, I can't legally overtake him, so I had to stay next to him. But basically, we were blocking 2 lanes. It was his fault. But to be fair, there was traffic in front of us anyway, so we couldn't go much faster. And there was this car, and I kid you not, he was flashing me to move out of the way. I was like, why are you flashing me to move out of the way? Because I'm in the middle lane. Why don't you flash him to move? So, and I got to the point where I proper lost it. I was like, no, it's not happening. So, when the cars all moved out of the way, I just floored it. In fact, and then what Ellis did, which was brilliant, was he noticed what was going on. And after I had moved out of the way and got to about 80, he moved in front of that car that was flashing him, and then they were flashing into him, and he slowed down to about 35, and then just floored it. And that person then didn't. It was a soccer mom, I think, in a SUV, and she didn't overtake us, so stopped them from being naughty. So yeah, I was like, what a complete imbecile. Flashing you move out of the way. When there's can't go any faster anyway because there's traffic. Ridiculous. Oh, and then lorries on average speed cameras. Because they're exempt from average speed cameras. Because their number plates don't come up to an address, they just go to a company and the company just pays the fine anyway because they're not bothered. So you're doing 50 and a lorry is undertaking you, or overtaking you in fact most of the time, at 51 because they think it's That's annoying when a lorry overtakes another lorry which is doing 50 and they're doing 55 and they're doing 56. It takes a week from 2 lanes of the motorway blocked then because you've only got the fast lane because they're not allowed in that in the UK anyway. So it's like, why are you overtaking? You could just stay behind. You're doing the same speed. And then the other lorry then finds his extra gear, so then he's doing 56. So then it's just like there's just a massive blockage of lorries, and it annoys me. And the problem is that either one of the lorries then has to bail and slow down. It's basically a test to see who will give up first. Because lorries are limited to 56, so they can't go higher. So they're stuck at 56. So they basically, it's who's going to stop driving at 56 first. It's usually the person who's doing the overtake, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're not getting past, so we may as well drop back.
And then they cause carnage because they've got to go back in. Oh, it's just yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I think we've addressed
most of them. There's probably loads more. But if you have any that we haven't mentioned, please comment them below because it'll be funny. I want to see your thoughts.
Definitely
want to read what you think, etc.
And
And what if you agree with any that we've got? Please comment below. Like, obviously, everything is jokes intended. There are some, like especially the traffic light one that really annoys me. Oh my god! If you're in front of me, you know me car. If you're in front of me at a traffic light, set off. I'll blow your head off, right? Because it's annoying. Because I've got things to do and places to go, and I can't be getting there late. So hurry up. So that's the main one that annoys me the most. And the supermarket shopping in the petrol station. Why? There's no need. There's no excuse for it. The shop is there. They don't even sell anything in the Nisa locals on the forecourts anyway, hardly. Yeah. They don't sell it. They only sell a packet of crisps. It doesn't take 15 minutes to buy a packet of crisps.
There's never much you can. There's not enough stuff for you to ponder the decision.
I know.
There's only ever stuff that you know you want when you go in there.
But they just sell magazines, chocky bars, and fizz drinks. It doesn't take long to get a chocky bar, fizz drink, and a magazine, does it? Pay for petrol. But why spend 20 minutes in there having a look? And they come out with like 4 shopping bags full of stuff. I'm like, what can you possibly have in there? And it turns out it's just like loads of chocolate and sweets. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you do weigh 36 stone. I'm like, I can see. And then you have to get up a step into a Land Rover. And it takes them 10 minutes to do that because it's too high up. It's hilarious. And the big legs have to then use the pedals. And obviously it's an automatic because they can't get the fat feet between 3 pedals. Because otherwise they're pressing 2 pedals at a time. And it's like, it's so true. It's like semi-offensive, but it's so true. It does happen, and especially when you start to have your own car, and when you do have to fill up, you'll have it happen. I've had it happen to me. Well, I've had it happen to somebody else. I've been at the petrol station and somebody's gone in and done a supermarket shop, and the rubby has sat in the car waiting for them at the petrol station, at the pump. So they're not filling the car up because they filled the car up. That's done. And they're just still sat there on the phone, twiddling the thumbs, and I'm in the pump next to them, so it's not affecting me. But the person behind is infuriated and then has to come in front of me, which obviously I let them because they've been waiting. The poor soul's been there for 20 minutes. And it's like, there's no need for it. Why can't the Land Rover? There's a parking bit at Tesco where I park to do my sat-nav. But I fill my car up. Instead of twiddling me around my sat-nav, I move out of the way and just go over there in the corner, then do the sat-nav if I'm going somewhere after I've filled up. Because then everybody else can fill the car up, so it's fair enough. Why can't he move his Land Rover Discovery over there so she can walk out to him? Yeah. Is it because she's too lazy to walk an extra 50 yards? I want to punch. There's a place reserved in hell for those people. There just is. And then the people who drive slowly in, like, national speed limit roads. Why do people drive so slowly on them? Like, fair enough that it's an unfamiliar road. It's 60, which technically they don't actually have a speed limit. National speed limit roads are quite brilliant for that reason. I love them. And like, yeah, they're twisty and there's trees and they're quite thin. So yeah, drive at 40. Don't drive at 15 miles an hour in a 60, because you are going to get your head blown off by the farmer in the tractor who's going faster than you.
Yeah, that's true.
Move your bum. Because the tractors still do 30. Like 30 or 40 miles an hour. I've been behind a tractor. Well, not me, but my dad's been behind a tractor and I've been with him. And I was like, is this the world's fastest tractor? Because it was a 40 and they were doing 40. I was like, you don't need to overtake them, so just sat there into traffic, just sat normally just behind this tractor, and this farmer with proper good gun in it. I was like, what's he done? Has he put like some form of gold in the petrol tank to make it go faster? Like, what the hell? Phenomenal. Fastest tractor I've ever seen in my entire life. So that was brilliant. But then I've been behind people on the Birmingham Brewery section is the worst bit because they just drive so slowly. I'm like, oh, and I love that road. I always wait actually for people. I drop back. So what I do is if there's no traffic behind me, I drive at like 10 to make them clear off, and then I can basically bomb it down the next bill. But I won't. It doesn't. If I'm stuck in traffic at Birmingham Brewery, it's such a boring road because I've been just driving dead slow. There's people who take 10 minutes. Oh, the other ones, people who take 10 minutes to get to the speed limit as well. Like if the 30, why are you still doing 22 and the lights are that far back and you're still accelerating? It shouldn't take that long. You buy a car that's fast so you can get off the line quick and get to the speed limit. Because the sooner you get to the speed limit, the less time it takes for your journeys to do. And if you add that up over loads of sets of lights and loads of junctions, you'll cut your journey time down by a massive amount. So, why do you have to accelerate so slowly? I just want to punch a window through and just grab the neck and go, what the hell do you think you're doing? Like, just please hurry up. Like that. And then just leave them and then just make them drive faster. Should I have a time? I say, move your car or something. It's ridiculous. The exhaust pipe works well enough though, to be fair. It's a good positive of that. Sit in neutral, set of lights, just make them move. I'm like, shift. That's the worst ones, the lights though. Sounds like it's raining, but it's not unless it's raining at the front, but not at the back.
Miracle.
That has happened before. I've actually seen that. It's been raining at the back and then not at the front. It's weird. So yeah, I can't personally think of any more.
Well, yeah, love to hear whatever you've got.
Because there are a lot, and they're not all. They don't happen all of the time. Well, the lights do. The light one happens all of the time, because everybody does it. Oh no, I think another one is people who brake when they don't need to. I've actually what I do is I want to play a Taylor Swift song, with the word change from waiting to braking. So then it's, what are you braking for? And then just play that really loud. I'm like, because what are you braking for? You can go around that corner twice as fast as what you've done, and now you've just made me slow down. You're wasting my fuel. Do you want a fuel bill through your letterbox? No, you don't. So get a move on, because you're wasting fuel by doing that. Because you have to slow down and then accelerate. Because you have to change down. It's like, do me head in. I would rather somebody drive a truly slow car like a Ford Model T and drive dead slowly on a road in a car that's slow because they have to, because the car's not fast enough, and that will be fair enough. Sound fair I am. But when you drive a BMW M2 and you're doing 19 and 30 because your mum's borrowed the car to go shopping, just take off the insurance. No reason why your 78-year-old mum needs to drive your BMW M2. Because if you was driving it, I know full well you'd be doing 80 or 40 and not indicating. Now what she's done is wasted all your money on blinker fluid and is driving dead slowly. I'd much rather have the other than drive faster and just not indicate, because there would just be a blur, you wouldn't see them anyway, so it's fine. Doesn't matter, does it? There's just so many. I just wish everybody could just bog off and rip the license, the card, just snap the cards in half and just not drive ever again. It's just me and the people who can actually drive. It's usually, I'm not being awful, but it is usually women who cause the issues. The most people I encounter who do all of the things we've mentioned in this video are female. I'm not joking. The people who shop in the supermarkets at flipping petrol stations are always women. They always do it. And the people who set off dead slowly and unnecessarily brake and drive too slowly in the speed limits and brake far too early when they're coming up to a red set of traffic lights as well. They're all women who do it. But I was like, I'm not. That's just genuinely from my experience, it's always women who do it. I'm not just saying that because I'm being horrible, but I'm just saying that from my experience. Because I do a lot of mileage. So I know, I encounter these people all the time. The odd men do it. The men are the ones who tailgate you to make you move out of the way, then overtake you, and then end up stopping at the same set of lights. They're always men who do that.
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh. And that's when I then race them from the set of lights and beat them, and then they get peed off. Start with the road rage antics then. It's funny. Because they're pathetic individuals. And men are usually the ones who do that. And the flashing on the motorway. However, it was a woman that time. I'm sure it was. Couldn't see that. It was too dark. So, who knows. And then middle lane drivers are usually people who are not from this country. Women. Or really old men.
Yeah.
Weirdly. Old women don't do it. They're fast people on the motorway. God, they're quick. Can't keep up with them. They just fly down the fast lane at 90. I'm like, Jesus, woman, what's happened to you onto jazz? Is it farted or something? And got an extra bit of juice from somewhere? They're quick. All women in onto jazz on the motorway, they're so slow on normal roads, but motorways, they are brilliant. Old men, God, they're slow. They are slow people. And they sit in the middle, they're middle lane drivers. You are allowed to drive in the middle lane. As long as you're doing 70, I don't have an issue with people being in the middle lane, because that's the speed limit.
Yeah.
Right? You're overtaking the slow moving traffic, and the thing is, when you come to somebody who is doing 40 in the middle lane, that's a middle lane driver.
Yeah. Because
they're causing carnage. And everybody has to undertake or overtake. So, it's like... do you know you can actually... It is actually against the law to drive under a certain speed limit on the motorway.
Yeah.
I think it's 45.
There is dangerous driving for slow speed on the motorway.
It's 40 or 45, I think. It might be 35 actually. And because there's, that Citroen Ami electric car, the one that's the same at the front as it is backwards, it's completely symmetrical. That can only do 28 miles an hour. It's basically Citroen's version of the Twizy. And that isn't by law allowed on the motorway because it's not fast enough. I don't think the Twizy is technically allowed on the motorway.
Shouldn't be able to.
It only does 50, which is an optional extra, like the doors. So there are a handful of cars that are not allowed on the motorway because they're too slow. However, a Ford Model T is, which is a bit odd, and they can only do 45, but that's technically a proper car, so I'm sure it is, but who knows. So yeah, we can find other people who are doing too slowly. I genuinely don't think there should be speed limits on the motorway though, because it causes carnage. The average speed cameras are the worst. You spend more time looking at your speedo than you do in front of you, which is dangerous. You're not looking where you're going. That's dangerous. If you could just drive whatever speed you want, look in front of you and concentrate, you're not going to cause a crash, are you? Most crashes are not speed related anyway on the motorway. Well, they probably are actually, but they're usually caused by somebody who can't drive at that speed. In a car that's not suitable to do that speed. So it's usually like a Kia Picanto doing 126, even though it can only do 99 miles an hour, because somehow they've just managed to get extra power out of it, or they've just managed to go down a hill too quickly, and then they've lost control. Don't know why. Like, what are you doing? It's always terrible cars as well that are in crashes. You know, because it's always the people who drive crap cars can't drive because they have no interest in cars. My theory is if you have no interest in cars, you won't have any interest in driving. It's like I have no interest in tennis. Yeah. So I will be a crap tennis player. Well, no, I mean, I watch it, but I have no interest in playing tennis. So I'll be rubbish at playing tennis. So if you have no interest in cars, you're going to have no interest in driving. And if you've got no interest in driving, you're not going to be very good at it. Because if you're not interested in something, you're going to be crap. Aren't you? And if you're just going to drive for the sake of not getting the bus, just get the bus. Because you're the people who kill people. I mean, it's correct. I mean, if I went, I wouldn't take on Nick Kyrgios because I can't play tennis, because I have no interest in learning to play tennis. I'll watch him because he's brilliant and I love him, but I wouldn't play it because I'm not interested. So I wouldn't be very good at it. And I would end up hitting somebody in the face with the ball because I wouldn't know where to hit it. So it's the same with the car. If you're not interested, you basically what you're doing is you're driving a lethal weapon. Because if you hit somebody, they're pretty much dead. If you hit somebody at that speed, at any form of high speed, you're going to kill somebody. More than likely. So you're driving a lethal weapon. It's like Americans being allowed guns, isn't it? If you have no interest in guns, when you fire that, you're going to be crap at it. You're going to hit somebody. You're not just going to fire it at a shooting range. If you fire at a shooting range, you're going to start hitting all the people, aren't you? Because you're not interested in where it's going. So it's like, it's one of them. It's just, it's like if you're interested in planes and you fly a plane, you're going to be good at it. And you're going to get everybody to destination safely. If not, and you're not interested in flying, and you're flying a plane with hundreds of people on it, you're going to hit a building. That's how it works, because you can't do it, because you're not very good at it. That's how the world works. So if you're not interested in driving, put your license back to DVLA. Get off the road, because you're death traps. That's how the theory works. We've gone so off topic, but that's just the usual. But yeah, we'll do this before it gets really out of hand and we get taken down on YouTube. Because it'll be funny, but it is what it is. That is I would say slightly funny, because there's been some bits of very comedy in there. Slightly amusing podcast of us ranting about things we don't like on the road. There's a lot. Yeah, I will say there's a lot. But a lot of these will mainly be for people in the UK, because they don't have it in America. Because if you don't set off on the side of traffic lights, they will shoot you. They just put a bullet hole in the back of your car and then you move. Unfortunately, we can't do that in the UK because we're not allowed. So we have to wait. The biggest thing, what amazes me with the UK is, we're the #1 country in the world for queuing. Like, you at a set of traffic lights, you just sit there for 10 minutes, even when it's on green, you're just not very bothered, and you'll just queue. You're just like, yeah, I just went to queue. But then you whinge later on when you don't get to your destination quick enough, because we're also the #1 country for complaining. Because all we do is whinge, complain. So, which I don't, because I wouldn't say, I don't like queuing. I don't like people whinging either. So, don't know if I'm British or not. Oh well. I just hate people queuing.
So your passport out.
What?
So your passport out.
Passport's a UK one. So it must be from Britain.
There you go.
You never know. Could have come across a channel on a dinghy. They'd never know, would they? Not doing anything on the other side, so on this side. So.
That's true. So right. Well, obviously, if you've got any things, let us know. Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed hearing some of ours.
Because they're quite funny. Yes, obviously, comment your motor and pet peeves down below. We will definitely read them. I always read the comments anyway. So if you want to rant about things, you can. If it's ridiculous, I will probably delete it. So don't post anything stupid. But if it's a genuine pet peeve, I will read it and reply and see what I think, and I'll most likely agree. And if one of your pet peeves is people driving Mazda MX-5s, I'll kill you. Because that's just disgusting. And that'll get deleted. That's stupid. Because I think you'll find that we're some of the best drivers on the road, actually, because we drive genuinely decent cars. And anybody who drives a genuinely decent car is good at driving, so it is what it is. But like mockers and dukes and you go off the road, I can't stand them anyway. They're so awful. Is it me, or is it genuinely the least nice thing to look at in the world. I'd rather stare at somebody's ball bag all day than look at a Duke. They're disgusting, awful. They're actually genuinely terrible cars as well. I don't know why people drive them. It's always women who drive them as well. Like, they're awful. I saw this in Cube the other day. I was like, that is beautiful compared to modern Nissans. It's just a Cube. It's just a box. The Cube is way nicer than the Duke. Burn them all. They can't drive either because they're crap. And like, for people who are not interested in cars, then there's been so many crashes actually. That's unbelievable. Probably more written off a day than there are people who buy them. Truly awful. They'll go down in history as what I would call the worst car of all time, and I'm not the only person who thinks that. And Luke agrees, and if Luke agrees, it's correct when it comes to cars. So, it will go down for me as the worst car of all time. Absolutely disgusting. So, yes, they're the people we need to get rid of. So we should hound them. We should get them all in a line, just blow all the heads off, and shoot them. That's pogrom with Duke drivers, I think. So I'd do if I was Liz Truss. Get rid of her, overthrow her, get in, remove. Actually, I think she's considering removing speed limits, isn't she? I think.
Won't be sure. Seems.
To be fair, she's a female prime minister, and female prime ministers of the UK have always, we've only had two, but they always get their way. They don't care. Look at Thatcher.
Yeah.
She did what she wanted to do. She was just like, right, I will do what I want. You guys just go and sit there with your coffee. I don't need you. Actually, she's got coffee. She's got Therese coffee. Helping Liz Truss. Yeah. That was a really good one, actually.
Annoyingly.
What?
Annoyingly.
I know. That was quick as well. So yeah. To be fair, the country's a mess. It's absolute shambles. The dollar is $1.07 to the pound. When I went to New York, it was $1.42. That was in April. How's it gone that bad? $1.07. Do you know how much it was in the 50s? £2.82. Then when they reduced it to 14% to $2.40 to the pound, the country was completely bankrupt. That 14% made that much difference. That was $2. That was 40p. We've gone down that now. We've gone down 40p with 40 cents, let's say. How is this country seriously surviving? What the hell? And she's reducing taxes, so we're actually paying less to the government. So, like, I'm not bothered about reducing taxes because that means us poor people have got less to pay, which is good. I mean, it benefits the rich, but the rich anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? So, we're paying less anyway, which is good. But we're now paying less to the government, which means that they're going to be in debt longer. Like, the country's completely on its heels. In fact, I wouldn't say it's got any heels, and they've been filed down. And that isn't any at all. So, don't think you're probably on their ankles, pretty much. They'll soon just work up the body, and then there'll be nothing left. And there'll be a head, and then the country will just blow up and detonate. Well, Putin will probably nuke us anyway, God knows. That won't happen, actually. There's people scaremongering saying he's going to nuke people. It's not. I don't know. I'll just make sure. Sky's clear, nothing there. Right, we're alright. Alright for another 10 minutes. So, yeah, fine. But, yeah, thank you all for watching, and we will see you very soon for some more videos. We might do some more podcasts if we can think of topics to do, which I can't, which is why we've not done one. We might have some guest people on. Might get some guests in. We need to, because it'll be fun. And we'll probably talk about the going into the 2023, I think. What year was it?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. I never know what year it is. That's a lot of down's done that. We jumped 2 years, didn't we? So everybody feels younger or older because we jumped 2 years and then was like, what the hell's happened? So we woke up out, got our head out the sand and like, oh, it's changed 2 years. It must have been 88 miles an hour and gone through time. But who knows? But yeah, they're fun to do. It's just us ranting and having a laugh. But there is a serious side to it that is, there are things that are annoying on the road that make them a bit dangerous. So everybody, the main thing is you got to be careful. Got to make sure that you know about it and you're aware of it. The traffic light things and stuff are not that useful, but people who don't indicate, you've got to be wary of, like all the idiots. And we're just having a laugh and a joke, so no offence is intended to anyone. And yeah, just stay safe on the roads if you're driving. If not, stay safe as a passenger. And yeah, we will do shortly another podcast. I think we'll do a bit of get some guests in and do some stuff about like cars and stuff, like first cars and stuff, because that'll be a nice one to do, especially for you, because you might be getting yours soon by the time this goes out. And yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you very soon for some more videos.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Sam?